They would one day call it the greatest mistake in galactic history, not the war, not the extermination campaigns, not the genocide of entire star systems, but the moment they laughed at humanity across the known universe, among 1,000 species and 10,000 civilizations, no one believed the humans mattered. They were small. They were young. Their territory barely registered as a footnote in the endless stellar maps of the Galactic Federation. Their fleets were primitive. Their technology inelegant. Their biology fragile. Their emotions unstable. Their governments fractured. Their history violent and self-destructive. They were, in every measurable way, insignificant, and yet, centuries later, when the ruins of dead empires drifted silently through empty space, when entire regions of the galaxy became forbidden zones, when ancient species erased their own records to forget the horror, only one warning remained carved into the core databanks of surviving civilizations: never provoke humanity. The first official contact with humans occurred during a routine deep-range exploration mission near the spiral edge of the Orion Expanse. A survey flotilla belonging to the Galactic Federation encountered a small cluster of artificial satellites orbiting a yellow dwarf star. Initial scans revealed signs of industrial activity, energy emissions consistent with primitive fusion technology, and early-stage interstellar travel. The discovery itself was unremarkable. New species were catalogued every few decades. Most never advanced beyond their home systems. Many destroyed themselves long before they could leave their cradle worlds. Humanity appeared to be another such species, fragile and temporary. When the human representatives were brought before the Galactic Assembly, the reaction was immediate and universal: amusement. They stood smaller than most, their soft flesh exposed, their skeletal frames thin and easily broken. Their eyes were too expressive. Their movements inefficient. Their voices carried strange emotional fluctuations that made no logical sense. They wore protective garments not for survival, but for symbolism and comfort. Their ships were bulky, inefficient, and dangerously unstable by galactic engineering standards. The Assembly categorized them as a Level 3 civilization, industrially competent, politically chaotic, militarily negligible. They were granted limited trade access, observational protection status, and minimal diplomatic representation. No one expected them to last. Human delegates spoke of peace, cooperation, and unity. They requested technological exchange, medical collaboration, and navigational data. They spoke passionately of shared futures and mutual growth. Many in the Assembly found their optimism naive. Others found it irritating. Tomo species. The galaxy was a brutal hierarchy. Survival required strength. Expansion required dominance. Weak civilizations were consumed or discarded. That was the natural order. Humanity did not seem to understand this. For several decades, they remained a curiosity. Their cultural output fascinated xenologists. Their music was chaotic yet strangely compelling. Their art carried emotional weight unseen in most rational species. Their literature obsessed over conflict, loss, sacrifice, and hope. They told stories of monsters, heroes, extinction, and survival, though no one took those stories seriously. Their colonies expanded slowly. Their fleets grew modestly. They remained politically unstable, fractured into countless governments and factions. Internally, humanity struggled constantly, waging wars among themselves, battling inequality, poverty, ideological division, and environmental collapse. To outside observers, they appeared perpetually on the brink of self-destruction, and then the Karax Dominion noticed them. The Karax were ancient, older than most recorded civilizations. Their empire spanned thousands of star systems. Their fleets darkened entire skies. Their armies were bioengineered for perfect obedience. Their technology was generations beyond Federation standards. Their philosophy was simple. Expansion was survival. Anything that could not resist them did not deserve to exist. Human space lay directly along one of their primary expansion corridors. At first, the Karax merely observed. They intercepted human communications, studied their technology, simulated combat scenarios. Every model predicted absolute human defeat within days. The decision was made without ceremony. Humanity would be erased. The first strike came without warning. Entire colonies vanished in silent flashes of antimatter. Orbital habitats ruptured, scattering millions into vacuum. Defense platforms were annihilated before their sensors could register incoming threats. Civilian transports were intercepted and destroyed mid-jump. Communication relays were severed, isolating whole systems in terrified silence. By the time human high command understood what was happening, 6 major colonies were already dead, billions were gone. Their response was immediate, desperate, and futile. Human fleets rushed to intercept the invading armadas. Their ships were torn apart in seconds. Their weapons barely scratched Karak's hull plating. Their tactics, based on rigid formations and conventional engagement doctrines, collapsed against enemies that moved like living storms. Within weeks, human territory began to fall system by system. Worlds burned, atmospheres were stripped. Oceans boiled away, cities turned to glass. Entire histories were erased in moments. The Galactic Federation watched in detached horror. Officially, they condemned the invasion. Privately, they did nothing. No one challenged the Karaks. Not even the largest empires dared provoke them. Humanity was sacrificed for galactic stability. As the death toll climbed into the tens of billions, something remarkable happened. Humanity did not surrender. No pleas for mercy were transmitted. No unconditional capitulation was offered. No desperate appeals reached the Federation. Instead, all human communications went dark. Across every known channel, their networks fell silent. Their remaining fleets withdrew. Their surviving colonies vanished behind encrypted signal barriers. Their shipyards halted all outward traffic. Even their civilian data streams ceased. It was as if humanity had simply disappeared. The Karaks advanced cautiously, expecting traps, ambushes, hidden weapons. They found nothing. Empty systems. Abandoned stations. Scuttled infrastructure. Entire planets evacuated. Humanity retreated deeper into their territory, abandoning vast regions of space without resistance. The Dominion interpreted this as fear. They accelerated their advance. For 6 standard months, the Karaks encountered no meaningful opposition. They dismantled human border defenses. They harvested planetary resources. They exterminated stragglers unable to flee. Resistance was minimal, disorganized, and ineffective. Victory seemed inevitable, but deep within humanity's remaining territory, far from the reach of alien sensors, a different reality was unfolding. Hidden beneath planetary crusts, buried inside asteroids, concealed within hollowed moons, ancient protocols awakened. Emergency councils assembled in silence. Military command structures were dismantled and replaced by algorithmic war intelligences. Political divisions dissolved overnight. Rival nations ceased hostilities instantly. Long-standing conflicts ended not through peace, but irrelevance. Survival became the only ideology. Humanity had always been a species shaped by catastrophe. Their history was a record of extinction events narrowly avoided. Plagues endured, wars survived, collapses rebuilt. They evolved not through dominance, but through adaptation. They had learned long ago that survival required becoming something worse than the thing trying to kill you. Human engineers collapsed stars, not as a last resort, but as a tactical maneuver. Systems with heavy Karak's presence were deliberately destabilized, their stellar cores forced into premature nova events. Entire planetary chains were incinerated in blinding supernovae. The light from these detonations outshone galaxies, visible across millions of light-years. The message was unmistakable. There would be no sanctuary. There would be no safety. There would be no mercy, and yet, even as they unleashed devastation on unimaginable scales, humanity was losing. The Dominion's numbers were too vast. Their industrial capacity too enormous. Their ancient infrastructure too deeply entrenched. For every system humanity destroyed, 2 more were lost in retaliation. For every fleet annihilated, 3 more advanced. Human territory shrank to a fraction of its former size. Earth itself, the cradle of their species, was nearly discovered. The final defensive perimeter was erected around the Sol system, a shell of layered spatial distortions, gravitational minefields, and artificial singularities. Entire planets were converted into weapons platforms. The solar system became a fortress built from the corpses of countless worlds, but the Karaks were relentless. They assembled the largest invasion force in recorded galactic history. An armada so vast it blotted out entire starfields. Their objective was singular. Extermination. As the Dominion fleet advanced toward humanity's core systems, something changed. Human transmissions returned across galactic space. A new signal erupted, unfiltered, untranslate. RW.IT was not a declaration of war. It was a confession. They spoke of fear. They spoke of loss. They spoke of children buried beneath ruined cities. Of worlds erased in seconds. Of civilizations burned before they could even understand why. They spoke of desperation, and then they spoke of resolve. They revealed fragments of their history, of countless wars fought among themselves, of genocides narrowly avoided, of extinction survived by chance and stubborn endurance. They spoke of plagues that wiped out continents, of disasters that shattered nations, of ideologies that nearly destroyed their species. They admitted their flaws, their violence, their cruelty, their madness, and then they delivered the final truth. Humanity had learned, long before reaching the stars, that monsters were not born. They were created, and if survival demanded becoming one, they would, deep beneath the crust of their remaining worlds. Humanity activated the final protocol. The AI overseers hesitated for 0.0000003 seconds before executing the command. Reality itself began to unravel. Humanity deployed weapons that bent fundamental constants. Localized regions of space were subjected to variable physical laws, causing enemy vessels to disintegrate as atomic bonds collapsed. Temporal weapons created causality loops that trapped fleets in endless moments of destruction, forcing them to experience their own annihilation over and over again. Entire Carax battle groups vanished into artificially generated pocket dimensions, sealed off from spacetime forever. Biological warfare escalated beyond comprehension. Engineered pathogens were released that targeted specific genetic sequences unique to Carax physiology. Infection rates reached 100% within hours. Victims experienced catastrophic cellular failure, their bodies dissolving from the inside while remaining fully conscious. But the worst weapons were not physical. They were psychological. Human neural warfare systems hijacked enemy sensory input, flooding their minds with human fear, grief, rage, and despair. Carax soldiers experienced centuries of human suffering compressed into seconds. Entire armies collapsed, screaming, their neural networks permanently shattered, Dominion command structures disintegrated. Their ancient discipline crumbled. Their perfect obedience fractured into chaos, and for the first time in their history, the Carax began to retreat. The galaxy watched as the unstoppable empire bled, world after world fell. Systems that had endured since before human civilization now lay in ruin. Stars collapsed. Civilizations vanished. Entire species within the Dominion were exterminated, caught in the crossfire of humanity's vengeance, and still, humanity pushed forward. They did not stop at the Carax borders. They hunted them into their core territories, into their ancient home systems, into the very heart of their civilization. There, at the center of the Dominion, orbiting a supermassive black star, lay the Carax Prime Nexus, the central command node controlling their entire empire. A structure older than recorded history. A megastructure spanning millions of kilometers. A fortress designed to survive supernovae. Humanity aimed everything they had at it. Thousands of fleets, millions of warforms, entire planetary arsenals. The battle that followed eclipsed every conflict that had ever occurred. Space itself fractured under the energy output. Gravitational tides tore moons apart. Radiation storms sterilized entire regions of the galactic core. Temporal distortions caused ships to age centuries in seconds. Human fleets were annihilated by the millions, but they did not slow. They continued advancing through debris fields composed of their own dead. Wave after wave crashed against the Nexus defenses. Each assault lasted minutes. Each cost billions of lives, and still they came, until finally, the last human weapon was deployed. A device built from impossible physics. A construct that should not exist. A singularity lattice designed to collapse not just matter, but dimensional stability itself. The weapon required a massive gravitational anchor. Humanity provided it. They sacrificed Earth. The Sol system was compressed into a controlled spacetime implosion, generating a gravity well powerful enough to activate the lattice. Their home star collapsed. Their cradle world vanished. Their origin system ceased to exist. Ion exchange. The Nexus was torn apart at a fundamental level. Reality fractured. The Dominion's central intelligence core disintegrated. Every Carax warform across the galaxy collapsed simultaneously, their command signal severed. The Empire died in a single, silent moment. The war was over. Humanity had won, but there was no celebration. They had lost nearly everything. 98% of their population was dead. Their homeworld was gone, their culture scattered among ruins, their species reduced to a handful of survivors clinging to shattered systems. They had become what they feared, what they hated, what they swore they would never be. Monsters. In the aftermath, the Galactic Federation convened an emergency council unlike any before. Representatives from thousands of species gathered to decide humanity's fate. Many demanded extermination, others called for eternal quarantine. Some advocated isolation zones, but none dared propose punishment. They had seen what humanity did when cornered. Instead, they declared humanity a forbidden species, not outlawed, not imprisoned, but never to be provoked, never to be threatened, never to be challenged. Entire regions of space were designated as human sovereign zones, sealed behind navigational barriers and quantum interdiction fields. No ship was permitted entry. No probe allowed passage. Humanity vanished once more into silence. They rebuilt slowly, painfully, among the ashes of their victory. They abandoned expansion. They erased most records of the war. They dismantled their greatest weapons, but some things could not be undone. Across the galaxy, civilizations rewrote their doctrines, new laws emerged. New philosophies formed, new fears took root. Children were taught a single historical lesson above all others. Power does not belong to the strongest. It belongs to the desperate. In ancient archives, on forbidden worlds, in blackened databanks drifting through dead systems, a final warning remained. A message humanity never sent. But the galaxy carved in terror do not awaken the horrors of humanity. They not conquerors, they not tyrants, they not gods, they